Punk Revolution now. Today we are going to be reviewing Foo Fighters' newest album, but here we are. There's definitely a lot of interest in this album from music listeners and myself because it is actually Foo Fighters' first album that they have recorded and released since the passing of their longtime drummer, Taylor Hawkins. Taylor Hawkins seemed like a really chill, really funny, awesome dude. Drummer of Foo Fighters. I mean, you gotta be a pretty damn good drummer if you're playing drums for David Grohl, because Dave Grohl is like one of the most acclaimed rock drummers of all time. So, you know Taylor Hawkins kicked ass at the drums. We know that to be true if you just listen to any Foo Fighters music. And he just seemed like a really cool dude. Passed away at 50 years old. Really young, really sudden passing. Had 3 kids and a wife. Just like, oh man, just such a tragedy. In this new album from the Foo Fighters, I'm curious to see what's going to go on. How are they going to explore making music without him? Going to be exploring themes of grief and mourning. And I'm also seeing just some hype on Twitter in general about Foo Fighters taking a more artistic and experimental approach in this album in general. So I'm pretty excited. I'm going to be honest with you. I love Foo Fighters. Even the junk they've released. I know a lot of Foo Fighters discography is really awesome. I know a lot of it is also some pretty, cut and dry radio rock that's pretty generic. I like all of it. I don't care. I'm a music nerd who even likes poop. But I think this is going to be a good one from what I've been reading. So let's go ahead and start by taking a look at the album cover. Just looking at this album cover honestly makes me want to cry because it's so simple. It's just almost completely white, but you look at it and you can see there's like a horizon there and a little bit in the background. Something about this is very heavenly, like you're kind of just like looking out into the horizon and you're reflecting on Taylor Hawkins passing away. Maybe this is like a beach in Virginia that Taylor Hawkins would visit or something. Not, super bold, bombastic in your face. Come click on our cover so we can get more streams. A very simple, reflective, emotional cover. Obviously, this album is going to have a lot of lyrics with Dave Grohl exploring grief, mourning, reflecting on Taylor. Beautiful, profound, sad, emotional lyrics. But honestly, this album is not, if you're listening from start to finish, it's not like a complete, like, miserable, fest of just crying and overwhelming grief. The grief is definitely there, but it's kind of like, underneath a layer. Because, you can think of like A Crow Looked at Me, where the grief really takes the front seat of the album, and it's just overwhelmingly like sad, folky stuff. The thing with But Here We Are is it still is fundamentally a Foo Fighters record, actually, which is really interesting because, you have these, bombastic melodies that are very poppy, very radio friendly. You got those epic, grunge, post-grunge guitars going off, alternative rock guitars going off. A lot of it is, sang in the major keys that you can kind of sing along to. So it's really interesting to hear. I'm seeing some people I think are going, it's exaggerating a little bit too much, saying, oh my god, Foo Fighters is normally such a bland, generic rock band, and then they released this experimental, explosive, artsy album. I think, that is sort of true, but actually, the truth is Foo Fighters, they've always been a pretty experimental band, going back to, like, their first 2 albums, and you can also obviously just think of Dave Grohl playing punk since the 80s. He was in freaking Nirvana, he played for Cat Power, he played for Killing Joke, another member of Foo Fighters was in Sunny Day Real Estate. I mean, this is a band that has been really deep into the world of indie rock, art rock, punk rock. So to see them come out with an album that is, kind of back into that artsy experimental rock zone, I don't think of this as like, oh my god, there was like a spiritual awakening after Taylor Hawkins passing that made them realize they can be experimental. I actually see of it more as like they're kind of taking a moment to say, okay, we did a bunch of really cool artsy stuff when we were younger, then we've been frankly just raking in the cash, making some more, radio friendly rock. We're gonna take a step back with the passing of our good friend and former drummer to make an album that's a little bit more introspective and experimental. So I honestly see this as not a huge anomaly from Foo Fighters. I see it as kind of like a return to who they really are, their very authentic self, and making an album that's truly authentic in memory of their good friend. So a lot of this album is going to be following that kind of, Foo Fighters formula where it's gonna be, verse, chorus, catchy verse, catchy chorus. That's, you know, that's totally cool with me. And I will say the melodies throughout this album are especially catchy. He's catchier than the average Foo Fighters album, so that's cool already in itself. Like I said, I like Foo Fighters, so whatever. You can go ahead and roast me. But they are making a number of artistic decisions where they are stepping out of that kind of formula that they usually follow. One thing that stands out to me for sure is the guitar work. A lot of this guitar work, a lot of these tones sound a little bit more kind of like noise pop, shoegazy. I mean, the opening track, Rescued, you know, that sounds pretty, you know, pretty like a standard Who's driving by playing music when I'm trying to review? That to me sounds like a pretty standard Foo Fighters track with just like a tinge of like a noise pop guitar tone in the production. But then when we get to the next track, Under You, that's a song where I'm really hearing, you know, we're starting to get like, it almost sounds like a Dinosaur Jr. guitar tone where there's enough effects on it that it almost has like that mild like vacuum cleaner tone you hear from shoegaze and noise pop bands. And that's a really cool thing to hear from Foo Fighters. But what really stands out to me for sure is Show Me How, where we have Dave Grohl and his daughter Violet Grohl. Violet Grohl has a great voice. I follow her Instagram. She's always up to some cool stuff. She's good taste, okay? Her and her father are singing together, you know, kind of like one octave away from each other, and it sounds totally like something My Bloody Valentine would do, and the guitars are explicitly shoegaze. This is Foo Fighters going, you know, explicitly, completely into the realm of shoegaze, not just putting a little shoegazy guitar tone here and there. It's going explicitly into the realm of shoegaze, and it sounds really damn good. I think some people might complain about the production, because, you know, if you're a true shoegaze head, you want your production to be, you know, kind of warm and full and you know, kind of have like this deep depth to it. While the Foo Fighters, you know, it sounds with this album, the production, they're like kind of like, they want to have one foot in the shoegaze door, but they also have another foot in the, you know, compressed, loud radio rock door production wise. So, you know, I don't, you know, hate the production. I think it's totally fine, but you know, it's not gonna be like that My Bloody Valentine production that you know love so much from shoegaze. But it's still a really beautiful track, and a lot of these lyrics here, you know, from start to finish from this album, even if the melodies are catchy and the choruses are poppy, you're gonna get some really interesting and beautiful and profound lyrics. Pretty much every song on this album has lyrics that are really about Dave's experience grieving. It's really fascinating because, you know, he's touching on some really beautiful topics here, both about appreciating Taylor and Taylor's life and the memories of Taylor, but also, you know, Dave's own realization, or just like, I don't even know, it's like, it's kind of an existential album here. He has lyrics about how life is just all about luck. It's just, you know, it's so driven by luck. And we're just kind of going through it. Time is just continuing to chug away, and you could just lose a friend like that, and I could be next, you could be next. Like, oh my goodness, I'm counting every single breath. It's kind of like, it sounds like Dave Grohl has gone through a traumatic experience that really shook him to his core and made him think profoundly about, like, the time is ticking. Like, my best friend just passed away. It's very honest. It's just a very honest, really heavy. It's really, you know, it's really heavy. And, you know, I think the only thing that keeps you from like crying throughout the album is that it's like so catchy. Like, I think like Nothing at All actually to me sounds like straight out of like, you know, Nirvana, Nevermind. Very catchy. Lots of fun stuff going on. But once you get to the last two tracks, you got those sad, profound lyrics, and Foo Fighters really gives it to you. They're giving it to you. Yes, these are sad lyrics that are over some fun, catchy rock songs, but then once you get to the last two tracks, they're saying, we're bringing out the big guns. We've been teasing and showing, you know, that we've got some sadness going on, obviously, within us, but now we're gonna just kind of like let it rip. We got The Teacher, a 10-minute track. I think this is a beautiful track, a really dynamic track with lots of growth, and it develops over time. It kind of has this sort of like, almost like a psychedelic jam element to it. Sometimes it's like really, like it almost feels like there's like a psychedelic band that's like playing like real fast and aggressive at times. But, you know, it has a lot of moments that are more still, and you're picking up these lyrics. You know, The Teacher, what an interesting angle to write about grief, because it is true that, you know, when you have a relationship with someone, a friend, family member, whatever, you're gonna learn from them, they're gonna learn from you. Teaching each other is a very intimate, profound part of why we have relationships with other people. It's gonna happen. You're gonna have a friend who just has different life experiences than you, different personality traits from you. You're gonna learn from each other. Both David Grohl and Taylor Hawkins were drummers. They probably were literally teaching each other stuff about drums and just techniques and stuff. So that's a thing that's a very profound, interesting way to go about thinking about grief. And then also, you know, Dave Grohl is actually saying, you know, I am still learning from you. I am learning how to live without you. I am learning how to grieve. I am learning how to mourn. I am learning about life and how life is so, you know, first you're there, then you're not. It's a really profound song. It'd be an awesome kick-ass song even without those profound lyrics, but having that additional layer is just so beautiful. And then the last track, Rest, gorgeous. Gorgeous song. Warning, like I said, whole song, a lot of fun. You can feel the grief kind of bubbling beneath it. Once you get to Rest, that is when you are going to cry. That is, the whole album has been building up to Rest, because this is a gorgeous, beautiful, just beautiful melodies, so somber, so intensely sad. Dave Grohl saying, now you may rest. Now you may rest. It's something so spiritual, profound about it. Chills-inducing, quiet, acoustic, sensitive, soft, and then the second half, absolutely explosive, just wailing out to the world. Just such a beautiful message from Dave Grohl. One of the best songs of the year, hands down. Gorgeous song. Even if there was no context of Dave Grohl losing a bandmate, losing a friend, losing a loved one. Beautiful song musically. I actually want to compare it to Have a Nice Life's song Earhmover, which also follows a somewhat similar song structure. Also has this sort of, you know, this intense theme, intense analysis of death. Beautiful song. Explodes into this huge, beautiful march. A big march. We're all marching away into the horizon to say goodbye to Taylor Hawkins. So, really beautiful stuff. I don't know how else to put this. Us punk rockers who've been following music for a long time, we've known Foo Fighters had this in them. We've known that this is what Foo Fighters is about. That they're cool. They're a fundamentally cool band that, like, the aberration of Foo Fighters is that they make sellout music. It's not that they're a sellout band that once in a while makes cool music. No, they're a cool band. Okay, so they made a cool, beautiful album. Really happy to see Violet Grohl on a single there. Hopefully we can see more from her, because she really does have a beautiful voice and she seems really interesting. Awesome album. I mean, I'm just really happy with this album overall. I think, you know, most of it to me feels like a pretty strong Foo Fighters record. A little bit of dipping their toes into shoegaze and noise pop stuff, which is really cool. If it weren't for the beautiful lyrics and the last two tracks, I'd probably give this like a 7 out of 10. But because of the last two tracks, which are phenomenal, and the beautiful lyrics, I'm giving this a 7.8 out of 10. I think it's really hard to write an album about grief without making it like cliche. Dave Grohl did not make it cliche. He made it very honest. Beautiful album. 7.8 out of 10. And you know what? If you like this album a lot, if you've always just thought of Foo Fighters as a generic rock band that makes radio rock, you all of a sudden see now with this newest album, like, oh, they actually are a creative band. I recommend you actually listen to their first two Foo Fighters records, which are freaking classics for a reason. You will see, oh, Dave Grohl, you know, he's the real deal. He's a really critically acclaimed drummer, not just because of that he's played drums on a lot of fantastic stuff, but he's actually just known amongst rockers. Whatever genre of rock you play, he plays loud, he plays hard, he plays really fast, and he plays on time. Like, at a technical level, Dave Grohl is seriously one of the best rock drummers of all time. He deserves credit where credit is due. I'm glad to see that, you know, they released yet another fantastic album, for sure. Probably their best since their first two albums, honestly, and just really awesome, a beautiful tribute to Taylor Hawkins. So, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Please like, comment, subscribe. Go check this album out. Let me know what you think in the comments. Punk Revolution, now.